Alright, so that's a lot of items. So that's actually pretty darn good. Alright, so let's go back to the island so we can get out of this laggy mess. Ah, alright. Having very weird light issues, though, but that's fine. It'll all be fixed next time anyway. Alright, so let's go take a look at all these items. So this is Camandanda's blade. I find that this weapon doesn't really look good in this particular... I don't know, it just doesn't really look very nice. It looks like it's out of place for Oblivion. Like, it looks like it's meant for a different game. And then the Jacko Claymore. It's pretty much just a silver... I think it's silver or steel claymore, but it looks really, really good. And if you actually look at it, it's got a pumpkin right there. It's got a pumpkin. It's very cool. And then the Lich's Totem is just the Skull of Corruption. And it just does damage health. It's not really that great. That's pretty much gold brand right there. This one's not too bad either. Fire damage and absorb magicka. I think that's one of the Knights of the Nine. I think that's either the sword or the mace, I think, that does that. Or something like that. The Nox, we've been using the entire thing. It's just Umbra. It's very, very fast. Very cool. Then we have the Penance of Worthlessness. It's a pretty cool weapon. It looks like somebody replaced the blade with a purple hue, purple effect. And it looks like the hilt is black, which is very cool. It looks like it's supposed to be like a fine steel kind of hilt, but with a black instead of a red. Very cool. And the Unholy Club. This weapon looks freaking cool though. Just the gold accents and like just the overall that it looks very like charred. It actually makes it look really, really nice. I really like it. All right, and then what about the armor itself? So let's take this off. And I think I might have definitely broke something. Something definitely broke. Yeah, because now it's not even removing orbs, which is very interesting. And the Camandanda's thing, which is just Lich's robes, just looks very weird, though, because you're not technically meant to have them. The hood of Seeing, as I said, is just a red silk robe hood, pretty much. So yeah, so it doesn't really look very nice looking. Then we have the Hobgoblin mask. This kind of reminds me of like Minecraft, like the dragon head kind of situation, where the head doesn't really fit the body, but it makes sense. Or it's just like a cool little gimmick item that you can have, so it's very nice. Alright, so now we're going to equip the armor back on. We're going to find out more about the Warden's letters home. First, we're going to take a seat at our stool, watch the calming waters, and read the Warden's letters home. And then we will judge how much this mod has given us. Carol, my love, it seems only yesterday I kissed your soft lips and boarded the ship to this place. Fort Fire is a little hole of a fort, really. Above ground, at least. Below the surface, it's quite expansive. My duties as warden seem mundane indeed. There is little to do here. The food makes me yearn for the sweet cakes you made for me each morning. My gods offer little in the way of conversation, though they are teaching me a dice game. Have no worries, my love. I won't spend all my pay on a game of chance. How I miss you. So take care, my darling wife, Anton. Okay, how many pages? 18, not too bad, okay. My dearest Carol, things here are not what they seemed at all. I thought I was coming to keep the peace, as it were, but what I have found, there are torturers here, my gods. I'd no idea this prison was meant to torment its inmates. Gods forgive me the things I've seen. I know my duties, yet allowing these things to take place is difficult. I must remember these prisoners are hardened scum, the worst of the worst, and deserve not my pity. They are sent here to be forgotten about, and I think many of them must wish we would forget them. That I could see your sweet face to salve these horrors is my dearest wish. Anton, my darling, we have one very unusual prisoner, a goblin hybrid, hobgoblin, the guards call him. He's feisty, and though the guards pay extra attention to him, his sharp tongue is always wagging. Today I went on my rounds and found his cell empty, the door still locked. Somehow he's vanished. I'm not too worried, of course. At most, he's a prankster. The guards say he's escaped once before for a few hours only and spent his time of questionable freedom laying pranks for the guards. We'll find him soon, I'm sure. Dear Carol, things have gone a bit strange here lately. Several of my guards have vanished. Some say they've deserted, but there's nowhere to desert to here until the supply ship comes. Worse than that, some of the prisoners have gone missing. More every day, and now some of the guard dogs have begun turning up dead. Some have even been skinned. There is a feeling of fear now that oozes through the Oubliette, like a sickly cloud. Guards and prisoners both are poisoned by it. I see them looking at each other as though waiting. I must confess I feel it too, this paranoia. I wish I could come home to you this day and never see this place again. As each day passes, I cannot help but feel as though I will never escape. Silly of me, of course, but this place has begun to feel like a prison. For me as well. I think of you every night before I go to sleep, listening to the ever stranger sounds of this place. And your sweet face is in my thoughts from the moment I wake. The supply ship is due next week. I shall be leaving on it. I am writing my resignation of this post. This is not for me. I will see you soon, my love. Anton, my darling Carol, my dear heart, the ship has not come. It is near a week overdue. Now, storms settled in almost the night before it was due to arrive. Horrible storms I have never seen the match of. I am hoping they will break soon, and I can leave this place and return to you. The mages here have been conducting experiments, black magics, I think. They tell me the hobgoblin who escaped weeks ago has been destroying the protective barriers they created to keep evils at bay while they work. I have assured them my guards will track the little blighter down before he accomplishes this insane prank. Gods know what would seep through the veils into the Oubliette without those protections, they say. We will find the hobgoblin, of that I'm sure. I have not told them everything, though. The guards are beginning to question me, ignore my orders. Some have even openly argued, demanding that I allow them to set to sea in that leaky dinghy. Leaky dinghy. Oh, is that actually a type of boat? I don't know. Better that, they say, than to stay here. While at heart, I agree with them. It would be suicide to set out to sea in this weather. The storms are never ending. More prisoners have disappeared. More guard dogs have turned up skinned, and worse. Strange sounds are coming from the lowest levels of the Oubliette now, and an even more vile smell. I pray now to the Nine to see me safe from this place, to end the storms and bring the ship before all is lost. I miss you, Anton. My Carol, I don't know if this or any of my letters will ever reach you now. I am alone in the dark, and there is nothing. The Oubliette howls with the cries of agony and death. The cries of my gods. This is not the work of a simple hobgoblin. Some dark power has latched onto him. The last of the battle mages said something about the welkin switches scattered around the fort. If they could be reactivated, we might stand a chance of fighting back the darkness. But they left to scout the hall 3 days ago. Now, I don't think they are coming back. I hear laughter and drums from the deep. You will come for me soon, Anton. So this is the only time they talk about the Welkin stones, then. The last of the battle mages said something about the Welkin switches. This is the only time you read about this, and this is at the end. Are you joking? Alright, well, I'll go write the stupid sheet of paper like I did with all the other mods, if you do not know what I'm talking about. For each and every mod playthrough we did, I wrote a little missive over here that tells you what to expect from each mod, kind of thing. And yeah, so I'm gonna be right back once I have written that down. Alright, so I have actually done the whole note thing. It should be in here. There we go, the Oubliette. Alright, so here is what I have been able to find out certain information about. I haven't checked everything, but I have checked a decent number of things. So before we go look at that, I want to check something. Okay. Everything's all good. Alright, so, the Oubliette. Alright, so level requirement. I looked up where I got it. It says that the level requirement is 11 to 12, because while some of the enemies are indeed leveled, a lot of the bigger enemies are much harder to kill, so obviously you want to make sure that you have a decent level. So 11 to 12 is what they recommend. Initial gold requirement. You don't need gold to do anything within the mod because it is mostly just as horror mod, so there's nothing really too much there in terms of that. The modifiable gold requirement. So if you require anything that you can modify depending on your stats or skills or something like that, it's not applicable here. Gold reward. We don't get anything technically for that, so that's nothing. And then for reward, we got some items. I can be more. I can clarify this more with more weapons and like some weapons, armor, and clothing. But I think some items makes more sense because of the bleeding stone and such. So it makes sense. Selling item total gold accumulated 200k. I settled on 200k instead of 250k because, of course, there is two things that I could say about it. One is that if I were to say 250k, that is so close to what I actually received, because we start off with 3,000 before we picked everything up. So that means I got 251,000 gold from it. So I'm thinking of lower levels too, right? So 200,000 is within the ballpark for somebody who's level 5 to go through the dungeon than 250k. 250k is me practically picking up every single potion ingredient and all that shenanigans. So that makes a lot of sense. So I didn't do anything with the gold reward because it's going to be, because the item itself or the item meshes and textures are going to be applied to the basic master file itself that we're using. So it is going to be in here, but it is going to have the same exact stats as the original Nox that we are using from this mod. So it is going to have the same stats as this one. I might change the weight to be a little bit more like sort of reasonable than 5, but yeah. So the idea that I'm thinking of for the reward for this mod, or sort of like the memory of this mod, is 2 items, but they're going to be combined on the wall, so to speak. So one of them is obviously going to be the door that we get whenever we go through, because each and every place leads you to a door. But one of the things that the mod kept doing is to jump scare us with the skeleton skull that we saw with the red eyes. So I thought that maybe that would be a perfect thing to put as well. But another thing as well is if we go back to the area, I think it would just be easier just to fast travel there instead of just trying to reload a save to there. If we were to go back to the Talos Plaza, and I show you what I mean, I don't know if these actually previously exist. If they do, then I'm not saying that that's going to be very much a big problem, but it doesn't really matter anyway. It doesn't really matter how I feel about it. But what I could do is I could grab the paintings instead. Yeah, so I could grab a painting of the area and put it on display in that small little room. Now, I think there is space for it, or I could have it so though it's not hanging on the wall, if that fits the area better. Since it's a canvas, I think you could like have it so though like it's... I mean, there is space for it. I could put it like right here or something like that. Or right behind the statue here. It should be working, but I'll fix that later. Or have it fixed to here, actually. It'll just be a really tiny canvas. But yeah, I could have it like hanging off the side here or something like that, so it makes sense. I don't know. Maybe have it like... yeah, I could have it like slumped over here maybe too. Yeah, like... There's many different spots I could put it in that make a lot of sense for it to be there, but yeah. I could have the canvas slumped over here, either the canvas to the Oubliette or to leave the Oubliette. Like, the paintings aren't going to do anything, but I think the doors would fit a lot better because those paintings could be, let's say, a part of a different mod, and so I could use them as a reward for that mod, but those doors, I've never seen them on a different mod. And if I have, it's either another horror mod in which I can grab different items from. So yeah, so I think that the door would look very much nice with this overall, like, room area. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go with the door idea. Or maybe I'll go with the door and the canvas idea. Ooh, who knows, right? So yeah, so the weapon reward that we're going to be moving is Nox, of course. I'm just going to grab a different texture, or a different model, which it might not be one-handed anymore. It might be two-handed, but that's going to be the only variable that's going to be there. But all the other stats are going to be identical. This room will have the reward. You'll see it in the Oblivion modded playthrough, because since it's going to be part of the master file, you'll see it there. And on the next Oblivion mod playthrough, you will definitely see the items as well. But yeah. Anyway, that is going to be it for the Oubliette. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the mod itself. I definitely enjoyed it. I always like the Oubliette. Out of a lot of the horror mods, I think Oubliette is one of the ones that seems like it's very simple, but it's simple in a good way. Like, it's just simple jump scares, but they're elaborate in when they put them in, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I'll see you guys next time for another Oblivion mod playthrough.